this group that we are opposing this motion. I'd just like to talk quickly about the parameters, and one main parameter was that assisted suicide can only be administered in a hospital by a doctor. And I find this interesting that the proposition is then saying that a person who has gone through maybe 5 to 10 years of training now has the right to kill somebody. Just like to make that apparent. And I'd also like to say the fact that another parameter was the fact that there is no chance of recovery. However, there are many diseases which have no chance of recovery that do not imminently affect, that don't affect the life of the patient to the point in which they're going to die immediately. As a member of the opposition said, people with conditions such as schizophrenia or another condition called glass bones or cystic fibrosis means that they do have a decreased quality of life because it's harder for them. However, they do not necessarily, they're going to have a shorter life, but that doesn't mean they're going to die and they're in pain every single aspect, at every single time of their life. So is the proposition then saying that they should then have the right to die because of the fact that their life is just slightly harder when people are living on the street with who are homeless and have no quality of life, and yet they aren't allowed to die. However, just because of the fact that they have a slightly harder quality of life compared to others, they should then die. Another point that was made was the fact that this is it's a human right to death. A human should have the right to death. Well, you also made the point that a human has the right to life, and if a person, just because they cannot voice their opinion that they would like to live, wants to live, does that mean that they should die because someone else feels that it is economically unviable to keep them living? Just because of the fact that someone cannot, someone would say a disease like Parkinson's cannot necessarily voice their opinion anymore because of the fact that it costs the government a bit more money, they should then die for it. Another member of the proposition was talking about why should the government pay for someone who isn't necessarily contributing to society and who isn't an acting part of society. Well, that answer is given by another member of your proposition with the fact that they have the right to life.
Point of information.
Now, yes.
We're not saying that we should be killing everyone who has a condition from which they cannot recover. We are saying that we are giving them the right to choose whether they would like to end their life in a manner of their own choice.
Well, don't you think that the right to choose something of such magnitude can then very much be abused? If a doctor who, yes, has their qualifications, thinks that someone should die, and they necessarily shouldn't, because as you all know, doctors are humans and make mistakes, does that necessarily mean that they should then have that choice?
Point of information.
No, thank you. The fact is, doctors are humans too, and just because they have some form of qualification doesn't mean they get to choose when someone's life should be ended and someone should then be able to get off the face of this planet. Not all doctors are good people, and just because of the fact that they have training doesn't mean that they should have this authority. No, thank you. Now, a member of the proposition was talking about how a doctor should be able to make this choice because during the patient's stay, they form bonds with these people. And the fact is, just because they form bonds does not necessarily mean they'll make the right choice according to this patient. As a member of the opposition said, they are taught and trained to make rational points according to what has been taught of them. Yes, Callum?
It's not just the doctors that make the decision, also the families have consent and the people who actually do have the condition also have the consent. So it's not just doctors who are making the decision.
Even though, yes, an opinion can be given, but then as the parameters were said, the actual decision is down to the doctor. And why should the doctor have that decision when, in fact, they may not make the best choice? The doctor may take the opinion of someone, but doesn't mean they'll accept it. No, thank you. Now, on to what Charlotte was... on to my point, actually. The fact is, why should a life be taken on the assumption that they are unhappy or that they are in pain, when, not in all cases, they may not be able to voice their opinion, and therefore they may not be able to tell you that they may in fact want to live, or they may in fact wish to carry on with their life. Why should that decision be made for them on the assumption that they are in great pain, or that on the assumption that they are therefore acting on borrowed time? Those are my points, and I would like to beg you to oppose the motion.